When I signed up for this, I kind of figured you're going to be a lot of pretty good, heavy poetry. And so I have start with two very light ones where I write about my childhood. And that's one of the things you never have to update because you get older, but the childhood is history. So anyway, that's what this is about. Growing pains. When I was just a child, I knew a lot. Although I had just started school, for example, my state had a long name, but I could spell Pennsylvania. Just for challenge and to show off, I learned to spell Czechoslovakia. I was a good speller, but I didn't understand why words like cellar and cellar sound the same, but didn't look at all alike. Also, the word light has many meanings, even though they are all spelled the same. Perhaps I shall learn about that in the third grade. I also knew that a place called Pearl Harbor was thousands of miles from Pennsylvania and the United States. My dad told me that. What I didn't know was why we were at war. I've seen war movies with bombs and bullets exploding all around and guys getting shot. I have seen none of that in Pennsylvania. Arithmetic is fun. I enjoy adding and subtracting. Multiplying and dividing are harder, but I picked them up rather quickly. My dad said I would like something called algebra. He said you use letters and symbols in place of numbers to solve difficult problems. Now that made no sense. You can't add or multiply letters, so why would you? Using numbers works just fine for me. I enjoyed movies, particularly those about cowboys. We did not have a movie theater in our town, so I would walk to Lansdale for Saturday afternoon double features. One Saturday, the coming attractions included a preview for The Outlaw. Sounded like my kind of movie. But my mother wouldn't let me use it or see it. She said it was banned in Boston. Now, how Boston related to Lansdale was a mystery to me, but she did not want to discuss why I couldn't see The Outlaw. So even though my dad and mom seemed to be very bright at times they have a hard time explaining things clearly to a smart kid like me.
Thank you, Ed. And take us a little bit into the mystique of algebra, please.
Algebraic mystique. Erases all clapped, board clean, my job, honor, done. I always competed for the top spot in the class, but John Rutledge and Lila Tomlinson also wanted that distinction. It was good and friendly competition. None of us really dominated the other two. Strolling down the hall past the seventh grade class, I noted that the board had not been cleared. Peering through the window, I saw a long string of letters and numbers. They must have finished the day with algebra. I recognized it because my seventh grade brother complained about it so much. He said it was like arithmetic, except they used A's and B's and X's and Y's. I like math and look forward to taking algebra next year. At the bottom of the glob of confusing characters on the seventh grade board was the line X = 7. I was elated. The walk home just seemed to go especially fast that afternoon. At dinner, I mentioned that I was ready to begin algebra in September, especially since I had advanced understanding of the subject. "How's that?" Bob inquired. "Well," I proudly announced, "I already know that x equals 7. Bob and Dad exchanged a knowing glance, then continued eating. I wondered why.
Before you start reading your final poem, Ed, I should have introduced you. Ed Lull has been the president of the Poetry Society of Virginia, I think a total of 8 times or 8 years. He's also been an executive director for the Poetry Society of Virginia, and he edited the Centennial Anthology for the Poetry Society of Virginia, along with Sofia, Starnes, and Carolyn Kreiter-Foronda. And this is one of Ed's poems, which appears in the Centennial Anthology. Please read it.
The New Dominion. Both nobly born and common man from England crossed the sea, and thus the Commonwealth began with those who would be free to spread themselves across the land and settle where they could. With hardships greater than they planned, they still found freedom good. From sturdy stock their leaders grew with independent thought. Protecting liberty they knew could not be simply bought. The price was high, but fully paid as brave men's blood was shed. A nation then was loosely made, Virginia's statesmen led. The Commonwealth's diversity, its greatest attribute, with fishing from the bay and sea and orchards filled with fruit. The Shenandoah farms provide fine foods for rich and poor. The massive rivers, long and wide, link Blue Ridge to the shore. The tempo of commercial north contrasts with southern pace. The eastern watermen go forth a wind-tossed sea to face. A home for all who would be true to those who paved the way. The Old Dominion lives anew, proud gem of USA.
Thank you so much, Ed. It's truly a pleasure to hear you speak